Alright, let's do this. So obviously tackling her ends in my death, which I knew would happen, so it's time to find a weapon. Again, it's been like a day since I've played, so I might have forgotten everybody's character voices again. This will be fun. I had no idea when my body began to move. I grabbed the nearest chair without even thinking about it. It was old, wooden, and heavy. Picking it up made me lose my balance for a bit. I pointed its legs at the would-be murderer and dashed forward as fast as I could. A crash, a cry of pain, a scream. Amidst the cacophony, I attempted to keep Kaori-san pinned down. I pressed the edge of the chair against her knife arm. She cried out in pain and the blade clattered to the floor. Good job! Chiemi then quickly kicked it away. So that's what happens when you're using your old noggin. In hindsight, it all happened in a mere matter of seconds. In fact, tying her up was way harder, what with her foaming at the mouth and struggling. In the end, we bound her limbs and gagged her to silence. Her bloodthirsty screams. Gotcha. With that done, we had no choice but to face reality. I know I'm probably not the best person to ask, but what do you even do about this? 6 of us stood in the mists right outside the dining hall. Kaori-san was locked inside. Bah, she's also become a Yomibito. No, that can't be. She's just not feeling well. I guess she really was pushing herself. Of course she was. Do you have any idea how important Yoshitsugu was to her? He was foolish, short-tempered, and annoying, but no, that's exactly why she treasured him so much. She often said that he was as reckless as his father. I'll take responsibility and calm her down myself. Please forgive her for the... We should decide this at the feast. At the feast. Didn't I give him like an English accent? We should decide this at the feast. It's not right. Damn it. Please wait. This is a personal outburst that has nothing to do with the feast. Keep her out of it. How can you be so certain? She might have succumbed to the corruption. Found it. Nosato-san? Everything in the mists has to be decided at the feasts. Breaking that law risks falling victim to the corruption. That's true. Very well. Let's go. No, Yasunaga-kun, she'll be killed. I won't let that happen. Fusaishi-san, please look after her. Not gonna lock me up again? No one replied. Apparently it didn't matter anymore. Chiemi-chan. She was making the same face she did whenever she talked about God. Yeah, I noticed the creepy eyes. I knew this would happen. Strangely enough, there was emotion in her eyes. I could see 90% resignation and 10% fear. Watching me until she finally passed out of sight, she followed the others towards the hall. So I'm guessing this playthrough, this route, is just a straight line to failure. That's what it feels like, because everything's going fucking terrible. And then I'll probably get the key to go back all the way to the beginning and make that choice that I have a flashback for. And then I'm just like, making a whole bunch of other choices. That's my theory, based on the chart. Because if we look at the chart, there's that offshoot. We don't have anything like that coming up. Like anything, like, I mean, obviously there's key 20, her objective, which maybe, but like, I don't know. I mean, obviously hiding outhouse is going to be a big deal, but that's 4 locks away. Like, I'm not going to have those keys very quickly. So maybe 20, but I'm expecting key, what, 4 pretty soon? Yeah. That's just where I'm thinking. She followed the others towards the hall. Oh my god, that is depressing to see. Where's the sake? Can we just skip that part? The cleansing is important. Here you go, Nosato-sama. Thank you. That hits the spot. You too, Chi-chan. Yasu-kun. You just take a lick. What about One-chan? Uematsu-sama can't be here anymore. I'll look after this girl. What's the point? Chini, get a grip. But let's begin. I vote to hang Madame Moribe. For what reason? She's dangerous. In that case, I will vote for Rikaku Uematsu-san for the same reason. What about the rest? This is a temporary vote for now. Say what you think. I think we should hang both. Doesn't really matter what order. I can't think straight right now. We should hang Rikaku Uematsu. We can at least talk to Kaori-san, but Rikaku Uematsu is a mad beast. It's a mad beast. I kind of gave her a... What about you, child? They're eating One-chan? What's that supposed to mean? Listen, if you want to protect Rikako-san, then vote to hang Kaori Oribe. She won't understand. 3 didn't vote, and the 3 who did are in favor of hanging Uematsu-san. It's decided. This is absurd. Is that how you repay her for moving here and working so hard on our behalf? Hear me out, will you? My mom is just a bit out of it right now. We may still be able to reason with her. However, Uematsu-san is basically a mindless animal. She doesn't even have the capacity to vote on things. Unlike Mom, she's a Yomibito now. Even if we hang my mom today, what will we do tomorrow? Do we have a way of fixing Uematsu-san? Looks like it's decided. How simplistic. I know you're biased because Madame Oribe is a relative, but you don't see the big picture. What? Think about it. Our top priority is to kill the wolves. That comes before anything else. Yomibito aren't wolves, are they? That basically proves that Rikako-san isn't a wolf. Huh? What do you mean? Remember the legend. The wolves are Yomatsu Okami. Beings already corrupted by Yomi. Do you really believe they can become Yomibito as well? Yamawaki-san, what's your opinion? That might be true. Here's a hypothesis. Powerful corruption slaughters you like it did those journalists and your brother. However, weaker levels of corruption cause madness. Mad guardians are wolves, while mad humans are Yomibito. That means that the corruption's punishment can only be slaughter for wolves, and either slaughter or Yomibito transformation for humans. That's just a convenient illusion. Indeed, I have no way to prove it, but I can make it seem more plausible. If wolves could go mad due to the corruption, would they even look like Rikako-san does? These are beasts, disguised as humans. Would they truly look like that if they've gone mad? I think the beast would show their true selves, their bestial fury. Is that what happened to Rikako-san? No. That might be true. Then maybe we should hang Kaori-san first. Taiba? You're basing your decisions on fairy tales. We've had actual deaths here. This is ridiculous. I'm the one who's ridiculous. To accept fear of the corruption means to accept the legends. See? I've accepted it. Fearing the corruption while disregarding the legends is what's truly ridiculous, don't you think? Chiene. I'm afraid of God. I'm afraid of this God who toys with us as we dance on his palm. What are you saying? Regardless of... No, because of that. We need to fight back against our fears. For that, we need weapons. Haruaki-san. Huh? Why him? I vote for you, Yasukun. What? What? Chiene? I'm not sure I understand you, Sarazawa. Nosato-san, start the proper vote. There's no point in just talking. Huh? But... This was going to happen sooner or later, and if she's truly casting her vote, it's only fair for us to cast ours. But whether I can forgive you or not is another story, Chiene. I know. No objections? Then let's begin the vote. Here's what I think. Nosato-san is half right. We're supposed to search for wolves here. But I'm completely against relying on the legends for evidence. I'm glad she's back. She's our only fucking hope. Mochi, the old wolf guy, and Takumi Nichan all died at the hands of people. That's why we should look back over what's happened so far instead of the legends. So how about this? First, who aside from me understood the purpose of the feast? Nosato-san said it himself. Meiko-chan is too young to understand. And Haru-chan... Honestly, I think she'd oppose Nosato-san and side with Yasukun regardless of the situation. Taiba-chan would look to the legends, obviously. She's the biggest believer here. What about Yasukun, though? I know it's been hard for him, and with his mom about to be hanged, I can understand why he'd panic. But then, why push for Rikako-san's hanging? It's easy for us Yasumizu people to justify hanging the village heads. You should understand what comes first. Death of the damned Yomibito is the mandate. We should be looking for the immediate threat at hand, the wolves, before worrying about those words. The Yasukun I know would keep a cool head, even in a crisis. Chiene, I understand what you're saying. I just can't forgive him. Whenever you talk, it always makes a mess of things. Takamine, Yoshitsugu, and Mochi are dead because of you. And now you want to take my mother? I'm sick of you. Nii-chan, what's wrong? Calm down. So yeah, I forgot about the purpose of the feast. It was just an act of petty revenge. I used Haruchan for that. Like you said, that's all there is to me. I'm a pretty boring person. Are you still not satisfied? Yeah, this is totally out of character for you. Yasukun, I'm probably just looking too deeply into it, but when Kaori-san set the food, only you and Haruchan were absent. If the others had all been poisoned as planned, you'd be the only survivors, Haruaki-san notwithstanding. If you were a wolf, that'd be pretty good for you, right? Are you suggesting I convinced Mom to poison everyone? That'd be just the worst. She probably got the wolfsbane early in the morning. She was too busy otherwise, and it did look like she woke up early. By that point, she was already resolved to kill us. It's easy to imagine that someone had given her the idea the previous night. What? But we can't contact anyone at night. There are 2 wolves. What? For the sake of her only living son, Kaori-san was ready to kill everyone, even if it meant being subject to the corruption. But I'm human. If you only had the wolves and a lone human at the end, votes would no longer matter. Haruchan wouldn't be able to do anything. No way. Nii-chan? Yasukun? That's impossible. I mean, if Mom were a wolf, Yoshitsugu wouldn't have died. She could have killed me to spare him, though. You think I convinced her to do that? She'd never listen. She loved him way more than me. Chiene, this is cruel. There's no way he'd say something like this to his mom. I'm not saying the wolves killed Yoshi-kun. He might have just been out at night and killed by the corruption. Also, even if she wasn't a wolf, she'd help her son, even if it meant falling victim to the corruption. It sounds like you're saying whatever you can to make Nii-chan into a bad guy. What's wrong with you, Chiene? You always used to protect us. Was it him? Did Fusaishi-san tell you to say that? Did he make you change? No, he didn't. I'm just following his example and thinking for myself. Things I don't want to be true could actually be true, and I can't look away from them. And so you decided to vote against me and ruin our friendship? I mean, listen to yourself. The Yasukun I know would never try to guilt me into submission like that. If you ask me, you're the one who changed. So who will you vote for? I need to take responsibility for what I said. I suspected Yasukun, and I'm sticking to that. 1 vote for Yasunaga Oribe. We messed up the order, but in terms of seating order, Taiba is first. How will you vote? I will vote for Kaori-san. I don't think Uematsu-sama is a wolf. What about you, Nosato-san? So now you're being respectful. My answer didn't change. In fact, Serizawa's words made me all the more certain. Yasunaga Oribe, in all honesty, your current attitude makes it hard to believe you are a wolf. But it's likely your mother is. 1 vote for Kaori Oribe. What about you, Yasunaga Oribe? I'm still voting for Rikaku Uematsu-san. I'm voting for Rikaku Uematsu too. The child. Can be ignored. Wait, Meiko-chan, think! Your vote might decide whether the humans win or lose. Chiene, you'll go that far? You'll trick a child to take her vote? If that's what it takes, I'll do it! Meiko-chan, you don't want Rikako-san to be gone, right? No. Then, it's pointless. Even if she votes for me, it'll just be a 3-way tie. I choose who I don't need? Yes. Then, I'll go with the lady. She was scary. You mean the woman from the dining hall? Mm-hmm. It's decided then. No. This has to be a sick joke. Mom will die because of something like this? A vote is a vote. Nii-chan. It's over. I heard muffled screams and sobs from the dining hall behind me. Gagged and tied, Kaori Oribe was still wailing. She couldn't move properly and had a pole fixed to her shoulders, but I was still worried enough to check every now and then. The lack of change helped calm my nerves, but at the same time, I resented myself a bit for it. Quite a bit of time had passed since the feast had begun. What kind of decision would they make? I don't know, that feast was like 10 minutes long at most. I recorded all of it. The daily wolf lynching, hanging, had failed every single time so far. Considering the number of days remaining and how many people were left, if they messed up today, the humans would lose all hope of surviving. If either Kaori or Ribe or Rikaku Uematsu ended up chosen, there would just be no chance anymore. And guess what happened? Once I saw people leaving the hall, my mouth moved on its own. It's done then? Their eyes were steady. They walked in my direction. Not to me, though, but to the dining hall. You chose Kaori-san? I asked anyway. I was speaking to the last representative of sanity in this place, Kiyonosuke no Sato. Move. We didn't even converse. His tone and the look in his eyes were different than usual. His usual arrogant pride was gone, and in its place stood a deadly determination. Yasunaga-kun, I lost. Haruchan, I was against it. Obasan, it's the will of Shinai-sama. Chiemi, Haruaki-san, take the girl. Meiko was at the rear of the group. Somewhat hesitantly, she walked up to me. I moved aside to let them pass. They all entered the dining hall and dragged out the victim. The ones holding the ropes and doing the dragging were Kinosuke no Sato and Chiemi Serizawa. Following behind was Tai Yamawaki, prodding her onward with a bamboo broom. Stop. As his mother cried out in pain, Yasunaga Oribe followed the group, hand in hand with Haru Makishima. Stop them. Haru Makishima was bawling. Yasunaga Oribe was shaking, not even trying to hide his sobs. His face was warped in anguish. Someone... As the group faded away, the gag fell out, and the victim's voice grew loud. Not a scrap of reason remained. Only raw terror. Scary laughter. I'm not doing that. Or perhaps madness. Oh. Please. Someone. Beg for her life. However, I didn't hear any pleas to the very end, and I painfully realized I wasn't participating in the feast. I wasn't part of this life selection game bound by otherworldly rules. So that's going to be the difference in the other arc. I am going to be a part of the feast, and thus I will be able to better control the way this goes. Okay. So this whole first timeline is really just to give me that feeling of helplessness of being just subjected to the whims. I know I said last episode that, like, oh, it's interesting how, like, it's mostly just they all have to decide it myself and I don't have any say, but yeah, I feel like it's pretty clear this is the direction the game is going, especially because my character just literally called it out. I'm helpless. I can't make the kind of changes I need to unless I'm in that room. Luckily, we know there's another path. Don't look. I turned Meiko away, hugged her, and covered her ears. Seriously though, this was a huge fucking mistake. They fucked up. They're so dead. Because of that, I couldn't cover my own. Parent-like dedication. What a weird idea. Anyways, the group disappeared into the mist. I somehow felt as though the screams, or laughs, grew even clearer. I was subjected to this illusion until the very end. During the final moments, the mother called out her son's name. It was the name of the elder son, and he responded by calling for his mother. But at the very last moment, it felt like the victim shouted out a different name. There was a strange sound, followed by silence. Meiko. Meiko's body was surprisingly warm. In response, she just nodded. Let's escape from this place tomorrow. She nodded again. Give up on Rikaku Uematsu. Meiko started crying. I let her go, took her by the hand, and led her to the dorm. There, I took all the remaining food I had. Then, I escorted her back to her place. Lock up. I'll come pick you up tomorrow morning. Still crying, she nodded. Eat this. All of it, okay? I gave her some food and closed the door. Once I turned around, I saw them. Today's feast is over. There wasn't a hint of emotion in his voice. I see. As one who didn't participate in the feast, I was in no position to criticize or support them. They just turned around and returned to their places. leaving no indicator whether they'd actually heard me. 3 of them were headed in the same direction. I didn't feel like joining them, instead casting a glare at their backs as they walked. My powerlessness was killing me. And it killed all of them, too. Under the assumption I would die tomorrow, I decided I would go through the mists down to Saranaga. A strict taboo here. What kind of death would that get me? Would I be injured? Wander into some other world? Something else entirely? Or perhaps I'd be eaten by a monster. I still had that incomprehensible memory, but it was enough to make me suspect that was the most likely scenario. Ooh, I just realized, if we go to Saranaga, we're going to find out why What's-His-Face's body never seemed to hit the water. Big burly dude whose name totally escapes me. Yeah. I've been wondering that for a while. Yeah, but if we go down there, we'll probably figure it out. Right before I die, I'm guessing. Normally, people didn't remember dying. The unknown was scary, but journeying into the unknown meant conquering that fear. So you could say there were some perks to remembering that death. But if it was guaranteed that I would die like that, I wasn't really keen on the idea. That had hurt like hell. Not to mention how terrifying the experience was. Didn't think of a better way to die. One that won't hurt so much. Or at least would be worth the pain. Like if it led to the survival of a young child. Anyway, I'd wager my life. All that remained was finding supporters. I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths. Whew. I threw a Yakuza kick into the wall. Then I did a low kick with the other leg. The 7 treasures have finally been lost. To the elements, the sacred orb reduced to rust. In the jungle of the decadent void, the Buddha's corpse shouts out. What the fuck was that? That's a reference to something, I'm guessing, that I do not get. As I sang the Buddha's ash rock, I attacked the wall with my ass, which prompted a response from the other side. Shut up! I heard Chiemi's angry voice through the front door. You sound like you enjoyed it. No one would know how to react to that. The walls here were thin, apparently. Anyway, let's escape tomorrow. This is your idea of a conversation? If you can still talk like that, you're perfectly sane. Escape it is. Let's say bye-bye to this nest full of crazy. Listen, Haruaki-san. I'm serious. Still outside my door, she fell silent. It was only about 8. Still a safe time. I walked up to the door and unlocked it. Damn, you look awful. Is it that bad? No, just joking. What's with the jokes? You my boyfriend now or something? You put on a tough face, but it's a mask hiding some supernatural suffering, isn't it? Come on, talk to me. Well, don't if you don't want to. Take a seat. Pardon the intrusion. Alone in an empty room, we sat cross-legged and looked at each other. Tell me what happened during the feast today. Who were the wolves? I don't know. Hell, I don't even care anymore. The situation was hopeless. She felt the same way. So far, there wasn't a single lynching with a good reason behind it, and it didn't feel like they'd gotten lucky and killed a wolf. So if only that scrawny rich guy were a wolf. I mean, if only that scrawny rich guy were a wolf, it'd be so easy to hate him. Takumi-san said he's clean, so that's not likely. I know, but still. Assuming Yasunaga-kun was actually a wolf, I really doubted he was cold-hearted enough to keep up the act of a human while seeing off his mother to her death. Like Chiemi had pointed out, it was best to assume Kaori-san had only done what she'd done what she did for her son. If everyone died, and only one was left, he'd be the victor, regardless if he was human or a wolf. Probably. Whatever the case, it was important to note that it was wrong to guess whether Yasunaga was a wolf based on this alone. Kaori Oribe was in a messed up mental state that led her to plot the deaths of everyone and of herself and everyone else just to save her son. It was simply the immense power of motherly love at work. I'd messed it up by sending Haruchan to the second floor. Kaori-san probably resented me for that. Not to mention I was the one who'd pinned her down. Being the target of a dead person's enmity was a rare experience, and in my opinion, it was uncomfortable. Turns out I couldn't follow your example. My example? Yeah, I tried to think and did stuff, but, well, was I a bad influence on her? Well, carefully deliberating your actions was never a bad thing, obviously. Also, it was worth noting she pointed out that Yasunaga-kun trying to guilt trip her wasn't like him. Her own intuition was important too. Besides him, there was Tae-san, who believed nothing but the superstitions, Haru-chan, who always agreed with Yasunaga-kun, and Meiko, the one who sealed Kaori-san's fate. Everyone is suspicious. Yeah, that's why I don't care who it is anymore. Chiemi hung her head. I've decided to help Meiko-chan. How? By running away with her? I'm telling you, it's pointless. It's better than just sitting around waiting for death, isn't it? And if she turns out to be a wolf, you'd be down to 1. Lucky day, huh? Would it be? I don't know anymore. I killed someone. She said it casually, but I could tell that was hard for her to say. It's not your fault. I responded equally casually. I felt like breaking the illusion would be too much to handle. Wow, it's like you don't care at all. But you were against it, weren't you? Not stopping the murder makes me a partner in crime, doesn't it? I'm the same in that regard. Oh, right. Also, the law would understand that you made the wrong decisions because of the circumstances. Huh? Well, being punished under a proper rule of law is infinitely better than being punished by some weird laws of some mountain. Or what, do you want to die a supernatural death? No dice, huh? Yeah. Man, this was complicated. Is it God's fault? Half of it, yeah. But you can't explain the other half? Right. Then talk about God, at least. How do I put this? God is misfortune. Well, I don't mean that literally. It's just that it's because of God that we can't attain happiness. Is God visible? Yeah, we've all seen it. But its true form might be invisible. Let me ask about the visible part. Is it human? Though slowly and hesitantly, she gave me a light nod. Is it someone from Yasumizu? Silence. Neither yes or no. Then is it someone from Kame Fujiyoshi? She kept her silence. Her shoulders were shaking a bit. Then, no. It's not human. You can deal with humans, but God is beyond them. Shit, I knew it'd go like this. Calm down and explain, otherwise we'll both be killed. Fine, I just want this nightmare to be over already. Hey, Haruaki-san? Kill me. If it's at your hands, I think I can really die. What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself. I am. I'm not corrupted. I'm not insane. I'm not. It's Fujiyoshi that's crazy. It's God that's crazy. Is God some state of being? I just kind of blurted out something without thinking. Chiemi was clearly in a state of panic. The despair was one cause, but someone panicked like this couldn't explain themselves properly. Also, I didn't feel like this was simply some spiritual being she could see. She could perceive God as a sensation of sorts, and the fact others couldn't cause her to panic. Explaining a sense like that wasn't easy, and trying to explain it in detail was also a reminder of how much it scared her. I had to try and understand what she was sensing, and find a better word for it than God. That was what I thought to myself after saying those words, but why did she suddenly go quiet? She was raising her head, and her eyes were wide, staring right at me. She'd completely stopped voicing her pain. Did I hit the nail on the head? As I considered that possibility, I felt a cold, damp breeze from behind me. She wasn't staring at me. She was staring at something behind me. I turned around, following the direction of her eyes. Oh, fuck! How long had the front door been open? Had I forgotten to lock the door? Oh, dear God! That's bad. And how long had that thing been there? There was a person outside. Was it even human? Through the darkness, I could see that it definitely had a humanoid silhouette. But it was definitely abnormal. Its body was covered in bandages. No, sutras? It was a smallish boy, or girl, covered in marked cloth. Again, was it even human? I asked the same question again, unable to even voice the words. I couldn't move a finger. Or rather, I didn't because I had no idea what would have happened if I did. As the tension began to overwhelm me, I saw its lips move. The wolves cometh. to the smell of Yomi. Cleanse, shelter, and dream. Daughter of Fushiyoshi. A howl. I heard something fall. Turning back around, I realized it was Chiemi. Chiemi? Still confused, I rushed over and caught her. It was a momentary loss of consciousness. She hadn't fainted. She just seemed to be drifting at the border of reality. Hey, wake up! Why am I here? What was that thing? What thing? Weird. I'm so sleepy. Sorry, I'm going back. That was fucking freaky, man. Freaky deaky. Chiemi stood up. Her eyes were utterly devoid of life. She headed to the door. It was closed. There was no one there. I set that matter aside for now. Chiemi was way more important. I had to stop her. That was why I'll take you out of here. Wrap my arms around her. If you want to throw away your life, give it to me. Tomorrow morning, I'll take you and Mako and leave this place. You and Mako? Not just you? That was her first response in a while. Well, you entrusted her to me. I'll honor the trust you showed me until the end. Man of integrity, huh? You noticed. Well, there's also the fact that I'm just not too keen on letting a child die. You've dropped the tough guy act, Haruaki-san. Also, when did you drop the honorific? You don't like it? I don't mind. It's just, shouldn't there be a transition point for these kinds of things? Go out with me. Sure. So, let's get out of here. Okay. Just so you know, I'm only saying that because I don't mind dying with you. Sorry, but Mako-chan's barely a blip on my radar. That's not very responsible, is it? Chiemi-san is a girl with many brain problems, so she prefers to rely on people older than her. Leave it to me. Also, we're taking anyone who wishes to join us. What? I'm not getting some special treatment here? You are. The others have a choice, but now that we're dating, I'm taking you whether you like it or not. Not sure I'm happy about that one. Did you know I'm actually not a very popular guy? Haruaki-san. Thanks. Her teary voice compelled me to embrace her. If I'm killed by the wolves tonight, don't say that. I don't care what. Take a part of me outside. Don't worry. I'm scared. I'm right here. I'm here for you. It hurt to say baseless things. Even so, I kept on saying whatever I could to make her feel better. This went on for only 10 or so minutes, though. Even if the wolves didn't pay us a visit, we'd have to respect the rules of living here. We awkwardly exchanged some parting words. I saw her off as she returned to her room, her parting ways with a frail smile on her damp face. Well, hey, look at that. I got a girlfriend. Nailed it. Doing great. Only took 7 episodes to get the girl. Now we're all about to die, and I'm going to have to do that all over again. Nailed it. Also, she might be a wolf. Look, I don't fucking know. I have no fucking clue who the wolves are or what's going on or fucking anything. And we're like 6.5 hours into this fucking game. Fuck it. Tomorrow. Everything will be decided tomorrow. 5:16. Fry. Day. Another morning. Aside from being really hungry, I woke up the same as always. I hadn't died. The only real difference this morning was that I could go outside as I pleased. It was still misty out. I couldn't see much beyond the dorm. A settlement isolated in mist. A space cut away from the world. Could we really leave this place? We could. It had to be physically possible. The idea that we couldn't was just speculation. No matter how much this place defied reality. What was that thing? Why had Chiemi collapsed? How sane were we? Was this even really happening? Human senses and memories often lied to us. Though just dismissing anything that didn't make sense as an illusion wasn't a good idea. That thing had actually visited us. Its appearance was strange, but I had little proof that it was something supernatural. Thus, that had to be human. As for the reason Chiemi collapsed, there were quite a few possibilities. Unless it was a trick she'd schemed with that thing beforehand. That being had to have been too much for her to handle emotionally. What did the thing say again? The wolves cometh to the smell of Yomi, cleanse, shelter, and dream, daughter of Fujiyoshi. Was it? It basically seemed like a fancy way of saying get back to your room and sleep. So it was a warning from those who made the rules. Then was that something on the mountain? Great Lord Shinai's side? No, to be honest. I'd say it was more like something from the other side. I mean, it kind of fit my image of Yomibito. It wore sutures in place of clothing, and the cloth over its face reminded me of a funeral shroud. The word corruption seemed particularly fitting. It had a really sinister aura. To me, anyway. Though that was strange. Great Lord Shinai was the enemy of the forces from Yomi. Yomibito wouldn't act as his messengers. This contradiction? It was quite eerie. An alluring unknown. Maybe the rules are entirely set up by the Yomi and the Yomibito and the wolves to take us out, and Great Lord Shinai has nothing to do with it. That didn't matter now. My goal was to let Chiemi and any supporters we gathered escape. I returned to the room, made my futon. Why would you make your futon? Dude, you're leaving. And started searching again. The futon was the only thing in the closet. There was nothing I could use as a weapon. I gave up, left the room. I went to Chiemi's. If the worst had come to pass, I had to fulfill her last request. The door was locked. I knew it. So the wolf was... Yeah. I knocked. She came out after just a few seconds. Apparently she was already ready to go. I want a weapon. I figured. Nice weapon. She gave me a pretty large knife. With a thief. What the fuck, Kyle? A pretty large knife with a sheath. Probably used for hunting. Got anything for yourself? I lost my kitchen knife, so you'll have to protect me, alright? Sure. I had zero confidence in pulling it off, but sometimes bravado was important to hold on to. Or in other words, she has the knife, and she's just waiting for a good chance to stab me when, you know, she doesn't think that I'm ready for it because she's a fucking wolf. I'm just saying. We went to Haruchan's room. It wasn't locked. The room was no bigger than the others, but it was a huge mess. But it didn't look like there was a corpse present. She'd either already woken up and went outside without locking the door, or her corpse was somewhere outside, like Yoshitsugu-kun. I had gained a habit of expecting the worst. What about Yasunaga-kun? The same. Mm-hmm. Let's check on Mako. Today's mist was denser than usual. Just extending my arm was enough to make my hand hazy and indistinct. Oh god. I kept on walking, knife in my right hand and Chiemi's hand in my left. The settlement was way too quiet. We headed for the village plaza. I almost tripped a few times on the field paths, but Chiemi kept me on my feet with just a few warnings. I could keep going as long as she was with me. We arrived at the plaza. There was no one there. Basically, there was no need to use the dining hall as the go-to gathering spot anymore. We passed Rikaku Uematsu's house. It didn't look unlocked, but I couldn't hear any indications of movement from inside. Was she asleep? Or did something happen to her? Whatever the case, I had no choice but to ignore her. It was here, right? Yeah. Mako's place was... open. Thankfully, all I found inside was just a messy futon. It was the same as Haruchan's room, but now that it had happened with 3 people, it was safe to assume something wasn't right. Chiemi, sorry, but can you have this back? Huh? I gave her the knife. I grabbed a stick lying against the house. What's wrong? I need a weapon I can actually use. That aside, where do we go next? The hall, right? As it turned out, that was exactly where the other inhabitants were. With the exception of one, anyway. You're late. Or maybe we're early. Haru Makishima. She was in her usual agitated state. Tai Yamawaki. She was silently chanting something to herself. Mako. Haru-chan had her hands on her shoulders, but she still looked anxious. So which dude died? And finally... Yep. Hey, no more crappy British accent. There we go. Good morning, Chieni. And Haruaki Fusaishi-san. Yasunaga Oribe. His face was grim. Those were all the people here, meaning that... So they finally got Nosato-san, huh? A simple process of elimination was enough to know who was gone. Anyway, it was time for the first battle. Mako, come here. She tried to walk to us. No! But Haru Makishima stopped her. It was time. I raised my stick and... Huh? So you finally reveal your true colors, Fusaishi-san. Yasunaga Oribe stood in my way. He had a menacing-looking grass sickle in his right hand. He readied it for a swing at me. You're the cause of all the misery here. It's the end, so I knew it would come down to pure strength. No way. Huh? What? You were tricked. He's the one who caused all this. Not letting him join the feast was a mistake. If we'd hanged him, Mom, Yoshitsugu, and everyone else would still be alive. Wait, that's... We'll hang him today. That will end everything. Yasunaga-kun, you shouldn't try to advance the situation based on a story no one knows. What about you? Why did you try to attack? Oh, good point. I'll tell you. I want to take back the hostage. But that's... Well, before that, let me just help Chiemi-chan understand. Look how confused she is. Huh? What? They didn't say another word. Chiemi and Mako were the only ones who seemed confused at all. Basically, the others had prepared for this. Ignoring who's a wolf here, there's two important things you gotta keep in mind. First, yesterday, I told Mako I wanted to escape the settlement with her. It's best to assume everyone heard that. Escaping the village is taboo. I know that. The question is whether letting someone escape makes you a target of the corruption. That was why you secured Mako first thing in the morning, and I can totally understand that. The other thing is that Chiemi and Yasunaga-kun ended up on opposing sides yesterday. Owing to that, today's feast would be a one-on-one between them. Since Haru-chan would almost always take Yasunaga-kun's side, he'd have an advantage. But with Tai-san and Mako as swing votes, his victory wasn't guaranteed. That's why you decided that reconciling with Chiemi and going after the only outsider here was the safest way, right? You're wrong. I'm not. That's why you took Mako as a hostage. You want me silenced. No, I just thought you'd take her as a hostage and ask us to do horrible things. What would I gain from that? I mean, I'm not part of the feast. You agreed to that yourself, didn't you? That was a mistake. If it's not you, then who else could be the cause of everything here? Haru-chan and I lost family. Taiban lost Takumi-san. We all lost people important to us. And who didn't lose anything? Only you, Haruaki Fusaishi-san. Oh. So that was his story, huh? Sorry, Yasunaga-kun. But you're a bad storyteller. You seem to have a habit of putting up a wall of well-spoken words when lying, or putting on an act. Please stop messing around. Oh, but I'm not. Yasunaga-kun, you're trying way too hard to manipulate people using their emotions. You also underestimate Chiemi by thinking you can just use that as a smokescreen for the holes in your story. Well, from an emotional standpoint, blaming me for everything is definitely the easiest way. But on the other hand, you're selling yourself short. You're calm, cool, collected. The type of guy who argues against adult absurdity with facts and logic. Please stop this pointless analysis. Well, that's something for the villagers to decide, not me. They're the ones who've watched you for years. Of course, I understand you went through something difficult enough to change you. Then let me ask you this. Are you blaming everything on the outsider because you've lost to your own emotions? Or are you actually acting rationally to make sure you hang me and waste today's feast so you can tip the scales in your favor? As in, are you someone who'd benefit from wasting today's lynching? What do you think, Chiemi? She gasped and looked at Yasunaga Oribe. There was suspicion in her eyes, not trust. You could have just said that I was a wolf. You didn't. You just said I'm the cause of all this. Because you're a wolf yourself. You hate lying, don't you? You know, when the chips are down, you have to commit to the lie. Chini, you're gonna believe him? Making an emotional appeal in the face of cold logic is a bad move here. You need to fight with logic until the end. Shut up! What do you know? You're just wasting time. You just wasted time not doing anything because you couldn't. You had a point there. I did feel like shit about that. I should have joined the feast from the get-go. If I had, I wouldn't have wasted time on pointless arguments and autopsies. However, you know, right here, there's a guy who can think for himself, but just played along with some dumb superstition, letting both his brother and mother die. As an adult, I'm really mad at him. Yasunaga-kun. Once I said that, Yasunaga Oribe hung his head and fell silent. 10 seconds of silence were enough for everyone to realize he'd lost the argument. However, the expression on his face was abnormally calm. True, I really am a wolf. He spoke as if it wasn't a big deal. But you were misunderstanding a few things. But that just made it seem even more abnormal. We've already won. He tossed away the grass sickle. His voice wasn't nearly as passionate as before. It was cold and rational. He demonstrated a confidence rooted in sound logic, but I couldn't understand what he meant. Other wolf, please reveal yourself. What's the point of that? It's the old lady, right? Yeah. These were my leading suspects. Are you sure, Yasukun? Yes, that's enough. I'm the other wolf. I couldn't make sense of this. Had he decided to graciously concede by selling out his partner now that he'd been cornered? Yeah, but the problem is Haru was still probably going to be on his side. No. He said he'd already won. Even if there were 2 wolves, there were 4 of us. They'd lose in votes. My answer came from a completely unexpected direction. Nichan? Nichan? You and Taiba really are the wolves. A shout of pure, unadulterated joy. Yep! Haru Makishima became the least comprehensible of anyone present. She ran to Yasunaga Oribe and hugged him. He hesitated for a moment, but reciprocated. Mako, still as clueless as ever, slowly walked over to us. Oni-chan? I'm sorry. Hide behind Chiemi. Haruaki-san, what is this? I don't know. I really didn't. But I had a feeling that something wasn't quite right for a while now, and I suspected it'd be made clear now. I was certain of it, and it left me feeling uneasy. This is fucked. Okay, you have the initiative here. Can you explain? Taiba, you do it. Fine. I've been relying on you too much all this time. So she wasn't even denying it. Chi-chan, Mako-chan. Not me. This is something I never told you. A long time ago, when I was still a girl, Kamu Fujiyoshi's people got drunk and revealed the truth behind the Feast of the Yomi Purge. The truth? I feel like the game's tipping its hand really early. I don't know. Tai Yamawaki told us a story that was very similar to the legend they told in this strange village. Well, it was less like it was similar, and more like I was looking at it from the opposite angle. The part about Great Lord Shinai setting the 5 guardians to help people was the same. 4 of them then teamed up with the humans to murder the wolves. However, in the real story, the good and bad sides were completely reversed. Apparently, the people and the 4 guardians joined Yomi on the very first Feast of the Yomi Purge. Basically, all of them were Yomibito. They all ganged up on, overpowered, and expulsed the wolves, who tried to resist until the very end. That meant this land had belonged to the Yomibito for a long time. The wolves were summoned here by none other than Shinai-sama himself. Some people of Yasumizu were given the blessing of the wolves, and had to free Yasumizu of its Yomibito. Basically, It was a holy war for them. And that was the truth behind the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Tai Yamawaki continued her explanation. At first, we thought the people of Kamafujiyoshi just made it up to make fun of us. But we found out it was true and we became blessed by Shinai-sama himself. So you see, Chi-chan, that's why we had to slay everyone. It hurt a lot, though. Takumi suffered greatly, too. But we had to do it to save the Yomibito. That's what Shinai-sama said. Tai Yamawaki was crying. Alright. So she was now a confirmed culprit who believed the murders to be salvation. There were just two more points I didn't understand. The corruption and the eerie message. Most things made sense if you switched Shinai-sama's enemies and allies. The idea that people wearing those outfits could be the good guys was kind of weird, but well, that was the culture here. Or maybe only the Yomibito, me too, saw them as evil. Maybe that was the story here. The problem here was that I didn't know that. Chiemi didn't know this. I only found out when I was blessed. So even Yasunaga-kun didn't know about it. I remembered some of his words. This is just something I heard from a teacher at school, but you could do it by giving them something to fight for, couldn't you? Basically, you need to make them think that they're doing the right thing. He really hated lies, didn't he? He basically told me the truth of things. This feast actually had a system that made zealous murderers of people. Whatever, enough about Yasunaga Oribe. Then why did Haru-chan know? She was glad when she realized Yasunaga Oribe was a wolf. Basically, she already knew the real story. That the wolves were the good guys. Why? Who told her? The Okami-sama told me. They showed up in my dreams on the day Oji-chan died and told me about it. Nonsense. Insanity. Did she seriously decide to throw her life away over a dream? But on the day Oji-chan died, he died the night before Haru-chan tried to run away from the settlement. She believed the dream. She started to despair over being surrounded by Yomibito and planned to escape. That made sense. But I did think that Taeba would know the real story. There was no way she couldn't. But she didn't say it, so I thought that maybe she was a wolf. And I began to think the same thing about Nichan when we talked. It all clicked. She believed. She believed the sudden revelation despite a lack of proof, and that the man she liked was in the minority that had justice on their side. And right now, she said she would betray the humans and join the wolves. She believed Yasunaga Oribe was right with all her heart. And so, the wolf, Yasunaga Oribe, had 3 votes for the feast. I can't be killed even if Chiene and Meiko both vote for me. Even if you bend the rules and count Fusaishi-san's vote, it'd still just be 3. You couldn't choose one, even if we did a final vote. And now, without either wolf dying, we win. It was easy. I saw it clearly now. I understood. Haruaki-san, is he? Yeah. Yasunaga-kun is right. We lose. Everyone had different reactions to my words. Chiemi backed away and gasped. Tai Yamawaki closed her eyes and sighed. Meiko didn't seem to understand anything. Yasunaga Oribe didn't react at all. Haru Makishima was smiling. Oh man. All I really had left was struggling like the filthy, annoying adult I was. Haru-chan. What? Oh, Nichan, what will happen to Fusaishi-san? I'll ignore him if he doesn't interfere. I see. Was that relief just now? Sorry, but I couldn't enjoy my sudden jump in popularity. We didn't have to slay him. Shinai-sama would do something if need be. That dispassionate tone didn't do much to convince me he truly believed this ridiculous superstition. But you won't ignore this, will you? Who knows? Honestly, if you're the good guys, I don't know if I should help the Yomibito side. Haruaki-san? You're crueler than I thought. We city folk value a well-reasoned argument. I I want to say I misjudged you. It's the right decision. Very right, in fact. Big words. Hey, what the hell? You said you liked Chiene, don't you? And now you're gonna abandon her? Good point. Well, yeah, I was pretty damn cold-blooded. I'm not too fond of being hit where it hurts, so I guess I'll respond. Haruchan. Well, what? You know you're gonna die, right? You okay with that? Huh? This is pretty damn bad, honestly. Apparently this Great Lord Shinai was a huge scumbag. You should have told her that much. Even if you've been told the real story, you're still a human. You haven't become a wolf, have you? You didn't kill Takumi-san or Nosato-san, right? I didn't. I don't know why, but you're just a human who knows the real story. That's why the human's defeat will mean your death. You said you thought Yasunaga-kun might have been a wolf when you talked together, right? I don't think he would ever let anything like that slip, so he probably realized your role from the way you were acting. He was probably trying to lead you by showing hints, but not revealing his identity, in order to test whether you'd join him. The wolf probably knew there was a human who had that role. What of it? He actually said that? This was the part where we were supposed to start lying. By not denying that, you basically admitted that you were an absolute scumbag who used Haruchan knowing you'd have to kill her. He was that bad at lying? How did you survive so long? Wait. Something was very wrong. I'd seriously misunderstood something here. And soon enough, my hunch was proven right. Seriously? What of it? Haruchan. Haru Makishima's voice was brimming with joy. A carefree smile, laced with seductive intoxication. Yomibito need to be hung. We're corrupt, filthy, and disgusting. We can only be saved by the wolves' whirls and claws. Everyone knows that. That's why you finished off Kaori-san, right? You wanted to make your mother happy. Yeah. Exactly. Ni-chan, make me happy too. Haru Makishima coquettishly leaned on him. Yasunaga Oribe brought her closer without even a flicker of emotion crossing his face. Tai Yamawaki watched them with a broad smile. What? What the hell? What were these people? So, Chiene, what will you do? If you listen to me, I'll save you. I underestimated it. I underestimated the madness of Yasumizu. And I realized too late that the Feast of the Yomi Purge wasn't just a system where zealous murderers killed each other. There was something here that completely shattered the people on a fundamental level. It was like a gear of madness. Those who knew the real story found salvation in death. That insane tale convinced people that it was right to agree and to find peace in that. And I was actually surrounded by those very people. Understanding that made me remember that she was from here too. Chiemi was trying to take a step forward. I should have realized this earlier. She, who was afraid of God, was just like them, who accepted their salvation. Both brands of madness probably had roots in the exact same thing. So she was just as susceptible to madness as they were. However, it wasn't too late for her. Yasunaga Oribe's expression stayed the same. But right before I looked away from him, I saw a slight change. It was bitterness, irritation, something out of place on a victor's face. That made me realize that his plan for this scene wasn't lost to madness. And I had no choice but to take advantage of the opportunity. I grabbed Chiemi's hand. I pulled with so much force that she fell on her backside, but I didn't care. I dashed past her and swung my weapon at Yasunaga Oribe. I hit Haru Makishima once, Tai Yamawaki twice, and Yasunaga Oribe 5 or 6 times. Then I ran to Chiemi and Meiko, who were completely dumbfounded, and fled the hall. There was no time to waste. I had to hurry up and escape. If I didn't, I'd waste the one chance he'd given me. Haruaki-san, what are you doing? What's going on? Hey, Chiemi? What? Yasunaga-kun really has a good head on his shoulders, doesn't he? What are you talking about? My hand hurts, I'll fall. I was probably irritated, not just because of hunger. It was because of the epiphany I'd had. And because of it had taken me so long to reach it. Yasunaga Oribe had a different motive. You have a crush on Chiemi Serizawa. She didn't want to hurt her, if no one else. So you used what little reason you still had to conclude that the only way to save her was through escape. But letting someone escape would be subjecting everyone else to the corruption. So you had to have me beat up everyone and take her by force to avoid that. Shit. If he didn't intend to let me run away, he would have thrown away the sickle. He wouldn't have thrown away the sickle. He was basically signaling for me to understand and finally attack him. In the end, he was far more clever than me. I never stopped dancing to his tune. Regardless of... No, exactly because of that, I had to help these two escape no matter what. After all, I'm an adult. By the way, using an adult without relying on one yourself was a very adult thing to do, Yasunaga Oribe. Good luck with the rest. We crossed the field paths, went past the stone graves, and over the boundary. Descending the cliff took a lot of patience. It didn't seem like they were chasing us, so we could go down carefully. Chiemi's expression was dead. She'd been hit hard by a sudden revelation. The game board had been flipped on her. She'd lost, and now she had to suddenly say goodbye to her old friends. It was hard to just laugh that off. Should I have told her about Yasunaga-kun's intentions? I did consider it, but couldn't bring myself to. He chose to save her by sacrificing their relationship. If she knew, she'd probably want to go back to the settlement. Or maybe I just didn't want to say it because of my pride as a man. That was fine by me too. Being able to shrug off such unfairness was one of the blessings of adulthood. So I consoled Chiemi, shouted to Mako to be more careful, and generally talked as much as I could. The mist grew even denser. I mean, we're about to get fucked, but this is pretty intense. Hey, Chiemi? I think we're already outside the village. Maybe. We did it. And look, nothing happened. We did it? Yep. Now let's cross the river and return to town. Where's the river? I couldn't see anything. I hadn't just lost my bearings, it was worse than that. I couldn't even see Chiemi or Mako's faces. I was actually holding their hands. We were already at the bottom of the cliff, walking on the stones below. We heard water, so it was clear we were close to the river. But I didn't know if we could keep going right now. Let's rest. We can't. Chiemi. I thought she was going to freak out again, but no, that's not it. She stopped me. Don't you hear it? Ignore the water. Confused, I strained my ears. What am I supposed to hear? Woof woof. They're coming after us. They were acting strange. I strained my ears again. Was it above us? I could hear the faint sound of rustling leaves from the top of the cliff. We gotta run. I'm tired. Haruaki-san, take Mako-chan. The intensity in Chiemi's voice made me take the situation seriously. What if the sound was just the wind, though? Was she jumping in shadows? But I would have been lying if I said I wasn't worried. After all, a question remained unanswered. And according to the legend, this was their HQ. Wait, they were the good guys, right? Still, this wasn't a normal place. I had to get out of here ASAP. After a while, I was forced to recognize the anomaly. We couldn't reach the river. I ran along the riverbed. It should have been small, just a few meters wide. But even after 10 minutes of running, there was no sight of the river. We couldn't get anywhere. It was just like ring wandering. A phenomenon where people wandering snowy peaks lose their sense of direction and just end up walking in circles. However, even if my sight was limited, how could anyone get lost in such a small riverbed? I could hear the stream right next to me. This felt so wrong. I was as good as blind. All I could trust were my ears, but it just made me realize how useless that was to rely on. I trusted my sense of direction less with every passing second, so... The sounds of parting grass in the distance, the sound of claws stepping on the rocks, I felt like they were getting closer. I couldn't be certain. Eventually we slowed down. The others didn't say anything, but they were clearly exhausted. We hadn't eaten for days, not to mention the dense mist made all our clothes all uncomfortably damp and cold. We walked along the riverbed without uttering a single word. The sound of water wasn't getting closer, but something else sure was. Something. Things I didn't know scared me. The chill and the fear strangled me like a garrote as I carried Mako, passed out from exhaustion, on my back. How long has it been like this? Suddenly, the hand I was dragging became heavier. Chiemi had stopped. Haruaki-san. She called my name through the mist. What? I tried to sound lighthearted, but I wasn't confident I'd pulled it off. We're done for. Her voice suggested the image of a grim smile. What are you saying? Unlike before, I couldn't manage the defiant tone I'd used whenever she said something stupid. It was true that something unnatural was happening, and that there was no simple explanation. And Chiemi was wearing down both physically and emotionally. Let's rest a bit. We'll get through this if we just go a bit farther. Don't worry. No. It's impossible. Why? I think you can't get past this river as long as I'm with you. What? That was like... You heard what they said. We're the Yomibito. So you're not worthy of crossing or something? I mean, I've been eating Yasumizu's food since I was a little girl. And I'm corrupted. Chiemi, don't look at me. I turned around and pulled her by the arm. I looked at her face from point-blank range. It was covered in brown and yellow blisters. Before I could even be surprised or disgusted, I just kissed her. Oh wow, so she is literally a zombie creature. The sugary taste of blood, pus, and rust filled my mouth and spread through my throat. I didn't care. Then, to discard all unnecessary emotions, I hugged her as hard as I could. My breathing and thoughts ceased. I kept it up until the pain began to fade, then disappeared completely. Eventually, our lips were separated again. She prioritized words over breaths. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Even so, I hugged her tight. I couldn't lose to something so ridiculous. She weakly hugged me back, but she couldn't keep it up for long. Let's go. I'm telling you let's go. The presence in the distance was definitely closing in. We walked. I felt like I'd been walking for several hours now. Our pursuers were close now, but I had no intention of rushing. Chiemi was slowly but surely getting weaker by the second. Her speed slackened with each step, and the weight on my arm was becoming heavier. I could hear her cough and vomit something out. She apologized every time she did, and I basically replied with, "It's all right," using different words every time. We walked. Chiemi's feet began to make wet sounds with every step. We walked. Maybe we'd actually been here for only a few minutes. We walked. Chiemi kept apologizing. Maybe we haven't even moved a single meter. We walked. Maybe none of this was real. Then, maybe nothing that had happened here would be weird. Eventually, Chiemi called out to me with a hoarse voice. Haruaki-san. The fact that she said something different had sparked a moment of baseless hope, and so, thank you. Her gratitude was followed by another wet sound. I had fun. With those final words, her weight vanished. It was strange. After all, I was still holding her hand. Or rather, only her hand. With a splash, her bodily fluids spread around while her limbs and entrails just collapsed. Chiemi was gone, leaving behind only her rotting hand. Perhaps her remains were piling up in the mist ahead. I had a strange certainty I couldn't touch it ever again. Was this what they called a Yomibito? I couldn't accept this, no matter what. I don't care what. Take a part of me outside. I put the hand in my jacket pocket. I took Mako, still sleeping, and shifted my grip to make carrying her easier. I continued walking. For too long. Mako woke up. She was shocked that Chiemi was gone. and cried for a bit, but then said she wanted to walk by herself, so I put her down on the ground. The very next moment, she was dragged into the mist. It was clearly a malicious force that did that. To me, it looked like a furry arm. A scream resounded. It was an inhuman, animalistic scream. After hesitating for a moment, I turned to run. I caught a glimpse of something beastly within the mist Mako had disappeared into. I ran. And ran. Suddenly I felt myself step into something wet. I had arrived at the river. It was meaningless. I'd lost everything. And in the end, only I survived. I don't care what. Take a part of me outside. Was there any meaning in fulfilling that promise? No. The meaning was for me to find. That was why I had to survive and find a forest. Yeah. I still had that hope back then. They finally broke through the mist and showed themselves. Oh. Of course. This really was hell, wasn't it? This wasn't the human realm, or nirvana. It was a river of hell. So of course both sides of it were going to be hell. There was no splash when we threw Takumi-san's body in there, was there? The moment we went into the mist and down the cliff, our bodies vanished from the world and reached a place from which there was no return. And I finally had no choice but to accept it. As someone who had taken in the flesh and blood of Yomibito, Chiemi, I couldn't escape either. That was why I screamed stupidly, only managing to run a few steps before their sinister claws tore me apart. Damn it. Where had I gone wrong? Descending into Saranaga? Not believing Chiemi when she told me we couldn't escape? No. I went back even earlier than that. I already knew the answer. Oh, shit. I really wished I'd been part of Yasumizu and participated in the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Maybe I could have gotten a different ending than this. That was the last thought that went through my mind before all faded away. We beat the game! What a happy ending. Okay, so yeah, that was fucking dark. Oh, voice actors. Me. Kyle Grubb. Just Kyle's Grubb a lot. Officer's wife. Shogi Higa. Okay, so they just literally showed people that we couldn't have possibly met in this playthrough. That was dumb. Okie dokie. I guess I can make this go faster by pressing X. I'm gonna do that. Let's talk. Okay, so yeah, clearly next playthrough is gonna be all about getting our asses into that fucking thing and winning. Rolls and claws. Alright. So that was the bad path. And, I mean, it was pretty linear, which makes sense. I'm pretty confident, like, probably the next path is going to be a lot more choices, a lot more locks. I mean, we've seen that locks go up to, like, at least 12, right? Or something like that. And we've only gotten one key, right? 2, maybe? I don't remember. I think I have 1 key. I think I got number 2. And that's it so far. About to probably get 4? Don't look. Key 4. Sink in Nirvana. Boom, boom, boom. It's like I just understand how this works. It's not complicated. And I promise you, I've not played this game before. I don't know what I'm dealing with here. But we got a new key. And that means we have a whole new journey to cross into. And we're probably about to get to the point where I'm not going to be able to record much longer. If I were designing this game, I would have that whole path be streamable. And then be like, well, if you want to find out what's left, you're going to have to get the game. That being said, I am going to record this as far as I can into the game until I just can't do it anymore. If that's like early on in an episode, I'll just talk about my opinions on the game. but I think my opinions are pretty clear. I'm really liking this. I hope you guys are too. Needless to say, this is a perfect fucking spot to end this episode. We're just going to listen to the hint corner. This episode's gone a little long, but there was no way I was ending an episode in the middle of that fucking clusterfuck. Ending number uno. Watch hint corner? Fucking, of course we're going to watch hint corner. That's where sheep is. And sheep is bay. Or ba, right? Get it? Hey, Chief. Congratulations are in order. You've now cleared Yomi, the first main route. Embrace that sense of accomplishment and lovey-dovey atmosphere. No? You're not in the mood for any of that? Well, makes sense. Wasn't exactly a very happy ending. But keep your chin up. I'll help you find your way to a better ending. Oh yeah, back to the rock music. This one wasn't a bad ending, but just ending one. Fun in the marshes with Chiene. Since it wasn't a bad ending, I've got no advice for you. If you want to find a better ending, then you need to find a way to proactively participate in the feast, like Haruaki Fusaishi said. And with Key 04, you know the means to head down that path. You can tell from the scenario chart, but the lock this opens is way back. Just so you know, it's in one starting point. That was the first lock choice you had, and now you can finally open it and head on into a new route, infiltration. Take on an even more chaotic scenario and give it your all so you don't taste the same despair as this time. With that said, that's it for this time. Die another hearty death next time. Guess it was just a dream, right? 5:11. Sun. Day. Remember incident. Oh. I didn't think about that. I suspected that the flashback was just a flashback about his past, but of course, no. The rush of memories, that flashback I thought we were going to be subjected to at the beginning of this game, is everything we've done already. All right. I'm pretty pumped. I hope you guys are pumped too. We'll see how far we can go into this bad boy. Hopefully we can head down a happier path than that fucking mess. That was dark as shit. Let's infiltrate this fucking feast and vote our way to victory. That sounds good to me. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this, like, subscribe, paint a beautiful portrait of my face. It's so majestic. But yeah, thanks guys, and you'll be seeing me next time when we do another episode of Raging Loop, I guess. See you later, motherfuckers. Bye.